Thud, thud, thud. A sound echoed as the crystal barrier appeared. In an instant, the thousands of participants felt their vision blur, and they were immediately swept away from the altar mountain, drawn into the barrier. Inside the crystal barrier, it was similar to the altar mountain, but the place where the participants stood was a vast plaza paved with agate stones. An ancient and profound aura surged from the plaza, and at the center of the plaza stood a massive stone inscribed with countless mysterious patterns. Shaped like the Chinese character Kao, it radiated eerie light in all directions. It stood quietly at the center of the plaza, its form resembling an opulent crystal block, exuding endless mystery. Combined with what Yao Xianyi had just mentioned, it was clear that this was likely the Yao clan's treasure used to measure soul strength, the Soul Stone. This is the crystal barrier, and this is the site for the first round of the competition. There's no need to worry, Yao Xianyi explained. Simply release your soul power and inject it into the Soul Stone. The most accurate measurement will then appear, he continued. With Yao Xianyi's explanation, the crowd quieted down, adjusting their inner breath to restore their peak condition in preparation for the first round of the soul test. Since that's the case, let's begin. I wonder who will go first. After a brief pause, Yao Xianyi asked, I'll go. I will. As soon as Yao Xianyi's words fell, the alchemists in the crowd became restless, quickly volunteering. Soon, a long line formed in front of the crystal soul stone. The sight of so many immortal-class alchemists drew attention. Just some nobodies, Yao Yichun remarked, shrugging nonchalantly. It was clear he didn't regard these alchemists, who were only 7th grade immortal class, as threats. The only one who made him somewhat uneasy was Xiao Yan, who had the Hell Medal of the 6th grade immortal class. After all, anyone who had passed the Hell Mode test was not an ordinary opponent. Big brother, you really need to work on your temperament. The elders specifically told us not to cause trouble. Don't forget that. Yao Yixian couldn't help but complain after hearing Yao Yichun's words. This guy. As Yao Yichun's provocative remarks spread, the alchemists around him gritted their teeth. However, due to Yao Yichun's terrifying strength, being a perfect 7-star Do Xian, coupled with his mysterious immortal-class 7th grade alchemy skills, no one dared to say a word in opposition. He truly had the pride to back it up. A perfect 7-star Do Xian combined with peak immortal-class 7th grade alchemy skills was enough to make him look down upon everyone else. Release your soul power and inject it into the soul stone, Yao Xianyi instructed the first participant. All right. The first in line was a small, thin man who exuded a heavy, imposing aura. He closed his eyes for a moment, and his soul sea inside began to churn violently. His soul power transformed into ripples of energy and flowed toward the crystal soul stone. Drip! A sound echoed as the man's soul power touched the crystal soul stone, and a noticeable 70 slowly appeared on the surface of the radiant stone. Soul power score, 70. Not bad. You show promise, Yao Xianyi said, stroking his snowy beard. He took the man's immortal class 6th grade alchemist medal, subtly infused it with a trace of mysterious power, and continued, Congratulations, you have passed the first round. For the Yao clan, the alchemist medal was the most authoritative proof. However, to prevent counterfeiting by illegal practitioners, the soul test had been implemented as a way to verify both identity and soul strength. After confirming this, Yao Xianyi would inject a trace of the Yao clan's unique aura into the medal. From then on, presenting the medal would serve as the best proof of identity for the competition. All right, next. One by one, the participants proceeded, and the pace was quick. Apart from a few dark horses whose soul power scores reached as high as 80, each participant only took about a minute. You need to be careful in this assessment. Only the Yin clan, Soul clan, Yao clan, and Xie sect have 5 representatives. As for the other ancient races and superpowers, while strong, they won't pose any significant challenge to you. But don't underestimate Soul Mu and Yao Yichun. Their alchemy skills are on par with mine, and the Yin clan disciple possesses a special flame that makes refining pills even easier for him, Lingzi, she said with a smile as she approached Xiao Yan. What do you mean? Xiao Yan furrowed his brow upon hearing this. His intuition told him that this girl was not as simple as she appeared. Don't worry. As I said, I just want to cooperate with you. After all, your family has endless mysteries, and I'm quite curious to see them for myself. Clearly, he already knew that Xiao Yan was a descendant of the Xiao clan. Hehehe. This little demon, if I weren't unable to accompany brother Xiao Yan for the assessment, I definitely. Outside, through a layer of light curtain, people were watching the scene within the crystal barrier. Xun'er, seeing Ling Zishi like this, couldn't help but stomp her feet in anger. In her fury, a rare and terrifying aura began to emerge from her body. Even the ancient race's 8-star Do-Xian cultivators nearby could sense an unease from the air. At the sight of Xun'er's reaction, everyone around fell silent. Even those who had hoped to sneak closer were pushed back by the overwhelming aura she exuded. This girl, she's not simple. Watching this scene, the 5 elders from the ancient 5 clans couldn't help but stare at Xun'er. They seemed to sense a familiar aura, the aura of the ancient clan. However, since the ancient clan was not present due to internal matters, they could not be certain. I hope you will allow me to use all of my strength later, otherwise, this grand ceremony assessment will be rather dull, Yao Yichen said coldly, tossing his words aside before following suit. 6 hours slowly passed, but not a single one of the nearly 1,000 alchemists had scored higher than 90. Only a handful had barely reached 80. At this moment, only Xiao Yan and 9 others had not yet tested. I'll go. Lei Luoqing stepped forward and walked toward the soul stone. He gently lifted his palm to touch the crystal-like ancient soul stone, closed his eyes, and began to communicate with his spirit palace, channeling his soul power into the stone. Oh? It's actually a soul power from the immortal realm, having built the spirit palace. It seems that the Lei clan has produced an extraordinary talent this time, Yao Xianyi said with a smile as he watched Lei Luoqing. Among the 1,000 alchemists who had just tested, very few had soul power reaching the immortal realm, and even fewer had built their spirit palace. Buzz, buzz, buzz. As Lei Luoqing's invisible soul power erupted, a humming sound filled the air. 2 numbers began to shine on the soul stone. 89 points. After a pause, 2 glowing numbers appeared, shocking everyone's heart. 89 points. The 1,000 alchemists observing the scene murmured as they saw the numbers glowing on the soul stone. After completing their assessments, they did not leave the area but instead watched the remaining 10, curious about how high these hidden talents could score. It seems that he has just constructed the spirit palace, but hasn't filled it completely. Still, to reach 89 points at this level, could it be? Xiao Yan slightly nodded, feeling some concern. His soul power had been tempered many times and no longer matched his current strength. Moreover, being in the Yao clan, Xiao Yan worried that he might be studied like a lab rat. Well, it seems the Lei clan has produced someone incredible this time. Yao Xianyi smiled and then handed over the alchemist's medal. Thank you, senior. Lei Luoqing remained calm, cupped his hands in thanks, and quietly withdrew. Shi clan, Shi Wushuang, 88 points. After a while, a terrifying score appeared from a member of the Shi clan. Next, it's your turn, Yao Xianyi said, his gaze filled with anticipation as he looked at Xiao Yan. The Yao Yichen siblings, Shenhong, Hunmu, Yinxian, and Ling Zishi. Clearly, these were the most formidable presences in the Yao clan grand ceremony. I'll go first. Ling Zishi moved forward and, like the others, subtly released her soul power. Boom, boom, boom. Instantly, an ancient aura uncontrollably rippled from the soul stone. 90. Soon, the disturbance halted, and 2 glaring numbers appeared on the soul stone. 90. Looking at Ling Zishi's seemingly casual action, the soul power score reaching the rare 90, even the proud Yao Yichen couldn't help but mumble. This soul stone had been obtained by the Yao clan's great experts from the celestial realm, making its judgment the most accurate. Currently, the clan leader Yao Wanyuan had tested with a soul power score of an unprecedented 96 points, placing his soul power in the supreme realm of essence transformation. It was passed down in the Yao clan that anyone who reached over 90 points in the test would have their cultivation potential at least reach the Great Void realm. If one surpassed 95 points, They had a chance to enter the essence transformation. The Great Void and essence transformation seem similar at first glance, but for alchemists, there is an almost insurmountable gap between them. Only those whose soul power reaches essence transformation are qualified to challenge for the title of 8th grade sacred class alchemist. However, the cultivation of soul power is extremely mysterious, which is why sacred class alchemists are so rare. Above 90 points, each additional point makes future limits unimaginable. Yao Xianyi said with admiration as he looked at the girl. I feel like you might end up more terrifying than me. Ling Zishi, having finished everything, returned to Xiao Yan's side and spoke loudly enough for everyone to hear. This bastard! The others muttered darkly when they saw Ling Zishi's actions. All right, you guys, hurry up. Yao Xianyi smiled. Shunhong, 93 points. Hunmu, 95 points. Yao Yixian, 95 points. Huaxian, 95 points. Yao Yichun, 95 points. After a moment, these people all took the soul test, and as the results came in, the experts present couldn't help but tremble. 495s? These people's soul power might truly deserve the term genius. Once above 90 points, every additional point becomes increasingly difficult to achieve. With such a high score of 95, if nothing goes wrong in the future, these people may have the potential to become sacred class alchemists. Heh, I didn't expect Huaxian to be so deep and unassuming. Well, Hunmu is pretty terrifying too. The Yao siblings are also quite impressive. The elders of each race, looking at the results of the first round of the soul test, exchanged compliments, though their pride was hard to conceal. It should be almost done now. Yao Xianyi smiled slightly. Clearly, with 495s, this round had surpassed previous tests, making everyone smile. For a moment, they forgot about Xiao Yan. Yao Xianyi, there's one more person. Ling Zishi, however, was unconcerned, casting a glance at Xiao Yan and whispering, Senior, I haven't been tested yet. Here's my alchemist medal. Xiao Yan slowly walked over, unconcerned by the gazes around him, and handed his alchemist medal forward. Oh! Yao Xianyi casually glanced at the alchemist medal, but immediately felt it was different from the others. Wait a minute. Hell mode? Yao Xianyi sensed a subtle difference and flipped the medal over. After a moment, his casual expression turned strange, and he exclaimed, a hell mode alchemist medal? Even in the entire Yao clan, only about 10 people have one. Among all the alchemists being tested, none of them have it. You should be aware of the rules, Yao Xianyi said, his tone becoming stern. As for you, I will take this very seriously. All right. Xiao Yan didn't hesitate. He slowly walked up, raised his hand, and his spirit palace began to surge violently. Layers of the spirit palace roared like an endless ocean, and the entire space of the square turned chillingly cold as the temperature plummeted. Just a mere 6th grade immortal class alchemist. Why is Senior Yao Xianyi taking this so seriously? Could it be that this guy used some tricks? The sudden fierce attitude of Yao Xianyi caused a stir among the crowd. Quiet. Anyone who causes a disturbance will be disqualified from the test. Yao Xianyi, fully focused on Xiao Yan, roared at the surrounding alchemists, his imposing aura unmistakable. Boom. Xiao Yan, completely unaware of the surrounding situation, felt as though this place was his alone. His soul power surged urgently, flooding into the soul stone. The value on the soul stone is changing. 95. Some sharp-eyed individuals gasped in amazement. How could it start at 95? Impossible. Even someone as proud as Yao Yichun couldn't help but lower his guard and said doubtfully, 95. 96. How is this possible? It's reached Yao Yuan's limit? Rip. As the onlookers continued to gasp, Xiao Yan took a deep breath, then released an even more overwhelming surge of soul power, his body tensing in response. 97. Crack. Boom, boom, boom. Before the exclamations even finished, the value on the soul stone skyrocketed, immediately breaking the highest recorded limit. This is bad. I didn't control the strength properly. It might break. Meanwhile, as the scene outside erupted in commotion, Xiao Yan rolled his eyes in frustration, muttering to himself, How is that possible? Inside the testing crystal barrier made of agate stone, nearly 1,000 people watched as Xiao Yan's test showed a shocking value of 97 on the soul stone. They muttered to themselves, seemingly forgetting where they were, as the numbers before them continued to hammer their minds. Yao Wanyuan had once achieved an unprecedented 96 during the soul test, later winning the championship of that year's Yao Clan Grand Ceremony. In the 100 years that followed, he broke through to become a Saint-class 8-tier alchemist, establishing his legendary reputation. Now, this Xiao Yan, a nameless nobody, had actually surpassed that with a 97, which meant that his potential for the future could be even more terrifying than Yao Wanyuan's. No, this must be some kind of trick. Many people, unable to believe the facts, began speculating that Xiao Yan must have used some underhanded means. However, Xiao Yan's test had not yet ended, and the 97 was still slowly fluctuating. At the moment when the value on the soul stone changed, tiny, almost imperceptible cracks began to form on the otherwise indestructible testing stone. Outside, at the altar mountain. Crack! The tea set in Yao Wanyuan's hand shattered easily as he stood upright, his gaze slowly focusing on the 97 that was flashing brightly inside the crystal barrier, along with Xiao Yan's figure. Brother Xiao Yan is indeed amazing, Xun'er said with a smile, but she could clearly feel a cold, murderous intent surging around them, evidently upset by Xiao Yan's brilliance. What's going on? Yao Wanyuan frowned and asked some of the higher-ranking elders nearby. Where did this dark horse, Xiao Yan, come from? Such power was simply terrifying. Only he knew that the kind of soul suppression on the soul stone was so immense that to reach a score of 95 required soul power that approached the peak of the immortal realm. To exceed 95, one would either need to possess a rare treasure or have soul power that reached the essence transformation level. But how easy was it to reach the essence transformation level? Even he, Yao Wanyuan, a so-called true genius of the Yao clan, had taken nearly 1,000 years to break through the essence transformation realm. The difficulty was unimaginable. Looking across the entire Yao clan, even among the elders, there were only a handful who possessed such soul power. The power of Xiao Yan immediately led many powerful figures to suspect he had cheated. Yao Yun, go and ask Elder Yao Xun'er to investigate. If there is any corruption or cheating, we will deal with it according to the Yao clan's rules. Seeing the numbers on the soul stone still flickering slightly, Yao Wanyuan roared. It was obvious that if a man younger than 100 had soul power at the essence transformation level, it would be a huge blow to these old-timers who had spent over 1,000 years cultivating. How could they save face? Unless this guy had been cultivating since birth, it would be absolutely impossible. Yes, Yao Yun replied, though still in disbelief. However, under the presence of countless powerful figures at the altar mountain, he could only tear through the void and head toward the crystal barrier. Yao clan leader, wait. At this moment, Xun'er gently rose from her seat. Behind her, a golden sun slowly emerged, radiating immense divine power. Combined with her 8-star Do Xian mid-stage strength, it immediately drew the attention of countless powerful figures. Little girl, what are you doing? Seeing Xun'er's imposing stance, the elders of the Yao clan whispered among themselves. It wasn't that they were afraid of Xun'er's power, but that they feared the force behind her. She had reached the 8-star Do Xian mid-stage at such a young age, and her flame was exceptionally terrifying. These 2 points alone proved that the force behind her was not ordinary. At their level, it was no longer just an individual's battle. It was a matter of clans and forces, so they had to be cautious. This flame of yours should be the sacred flame of fire. Tell me, who is this man? After a moment, Yao Wanyuan also sensed a deep wariness from Xun'er's flame. He immediately waved his hand, stopping Yao Yun, and his gaze turned to Xun'er. The one currently testing his soul power is my husband. Xun'er is not unreasonable, but I don't want anyone to wrong my husband, Xun'er said with a gentle smile, but her protective tone was unmistakable. Impossible. I've never seen anyone so young yet capable of reaching this level. What if it's true? If that's the case, I will personally apologize to him. All right, Yao clan leader, you must remember your words. The brief exchange was over, and Xun'er no longer blocked their way because she trusted Xiao Yan. Rumble. Before Yao Yun could enter, a violent surge of energy erupted from the crystal barrier, forcing all the participants out in a flood-like manner, as though they were being swept away by a river. The scene was like a celestial river, with everyone being squeezed out, forced to tilt and slide down, which was both shocking and amusing. Crack! With a sound, the crystal barrier shattered in front of everyone. A moment later, the 1,000 participants from the first round returned. They looked disheveled, as though they had just undergone some terrifying ordeal. Yao Xinyi, what on earth is going on? At that moment, a group of core elders from the Yao clan could no longer contain their fury. Clan leader, I've never seen anything like this in my life, one elder exclaimed. His talent is extraordinary, unlike any other. His soul power has already reached the same realm as yours. I've confirmed this multiple times. It is absolutely impossible to be wrong. Yao Xinyi nonchalantly turned his head and spoke to Yao Wanyuan in front of the countless onlookers. What? At this moment, the high-ranking members of the Yao clan, including Yao Wanyuan and Yao Yun, stared in stunned silence at the man beside them, his face filled with a silly grin, their emotions unsettled. A transformation of essence, realm soul power, expert barely over 100 years old? Then what's the point of this grand ceremony's test? Clan leader, I might have accidentally shattered the soul stone during the test. You won't hold it against me, will you? Before anyone could recover from the shock of Yao Xinyi's words, Xiao Yan's next sentence made everyone in the room feel an impulse to bang their heads against the wall in frustration. This soul stone was shattered by Xiao Yan? Shattered? What kind of overwhelming soul power was required to break the soul stone? What's going on? Seeing the silence from Yao Wanyuan and the others, Xiao Yan couldn't help but ask in confusion. Little brat, let's just let this matter pass. After a moment, Yao Wanyuan regained his imposing presence and casually spoke to Xun'er. Fine, Xun'er said with a slight nod, clearly just about to intervene due to her dislike of the strong protecting their own, but now realizing that they were in the Yao clan and there was no need to do anything that would embarrass them. At this moment, however, the countless onlookers viewed Xiao Yan and Xun'er as if they were monsters. One of them had extraordinary soul power, unfathomable, and had shattered the soul stone, a treasure in the Yao clan. The other carried the sacred flame and possessed terrifying strength, likely from a powerful family or faction. No one dared show any hostility toward them, but Xiao Yan's brilliant performance in the first round also meant that he would face numerous setbacks in the next rounds. Nonetheless, as the #1 alchemist in the continent, Xiao Yan was still a force to be reckoned with. With Yao Xinyi's words and the silence from the Yao clan's higher-ups, the entire altar mountain fell into complete silence, as if Yao Xinyi's words had a special power, making countless pairs of eyes fixated on Xiao Yan. This child might be no ordinary person. In that instant, the elders from the 5 ancient clans and the many powerful figures behind them began to speculate about Xiao Yan's true identity, whispering to one another. For someone to make the Yao clan leader so serious, this Xiao Yan was definitely no simple character, yet they had never heard of him before. All right, this was merely a small incident in the first round of the grand ceremony, nothing serious. Xinyi, prepare for the second round. After a few breaths, Yao Wanyuan once again smiled and eased the atmosphere. As the leader of the clan, he naturally carried himself with pride and composure. With Yao Wanyuan's words, the altar mountain returned to its noisy state. However, those alchemists who had passed the first round felt extremely frustrated. Was Xiao Yan really that abnormal? Just the way he shattered the soul stone made their scalps tingle. Such a terrifying person, and yet he was only a 6th-grade immortal-class alchemist? Such a claim seemed highly unlikely. His soul power. Is it really as Elder Xinyi said, reaching that level? At this moment, Yao Yichen had already viewed Xiao Yan as an obstacle, murmuring quietly. That level referred to the threshold of becoming a sacred-class alchemist, a realm he had spent decades striving for but could never reach. Upon hearing Yao Xinyi's confirmation, he became agitated. It should be correct, but even though this person's soul power is strong, I observe that his alchemy skills don't seem to match his soul power. So, in the next rounds, we must be fully prepared with the presence of these guys. This grand ceremony is finally starting to get lively, Yao Yishuan nodded. He didn't dare to underestimate Xiao Yan, but a maddening aura of determination surged within him. If he could crush Xiao Yan beneath his feet, then the title of the continent's #1 alchemist would undoubtedly hold the greatest authority. After a moment, although the shock caused by Xiao Yan hadn't subsided, the ceremony was near, and many of the participants were growing more eager, preparing for the competition. I see. Xiao Yan stood quietly in the middle of the plaza, feeling the soul transmission from Xun'er. He immediately understood what had just happened and couldn't help but burst into laughter. Hey, I didn't expect your soul power to be so monstrous. You're really hiding your true strength, Xiao Yan remarked with a grin. Why are you still laughing? Look at them, Lingzi. She splashed cold water on his excitement. It's nothing, just isolation. By the way, aren't you afraid of being isolated? Xiao Yan casually waved his hand, indifferent. After all, this wasn't the first time he'd been isolated or ostracized. He knew that no matter what, he would ultimately rise, proving himself to these proud geniuses. Among the ancient races, apart from a few ambitious war factions, the other clans came with the mindset of giving it a try. So, for me, this grand ceremony doesn't really matter. What matters is you. Ling Zishi smiled, her tone carrying hidden meaning. Boring. Xiao Yan wasn't interested in talking further with her. She was always so mysterious, making her difficult to deal with. After the first round's light test, I'm sure everyone is even more eager for the second round of our Yao clan grand ceremony. Yao Xianyi continued without pause, his voice loud and clear as he explained the rules to the many powerful participants. The second round is somewhat amusing, actually. It's all about selecting prescriptions, entering our Yao clan's pill valley to search for the materials needed for refining, paving the way for the third round's pill crafting competition. There's no doubt that the pill valley is the source of many precious herbs for our Yao clan. It's home to countless mysterious treasures and great opportunities. If any of you competitors are fortunate enough to cross paths with some of these treasures, and if you have the ambition to take them, feel free to do so. Our Yao clan won't interfere. However, beware, the valley is guarded by numerous powerful magical beasts. You'll have to be careful. Treasure is great, but you have to be alive to enjoy it. In the second round, the prescriptions will all be provided by our Yao clan. You can't use your own recipes. After entering the pill tower to select your prescriptions, you will have 1 month to gather the necessary materials. If you fail to collect everything within the time limit, you will be eliminated. The third round will then take place in the pill valley. Remember, the second and third rounds are closely connected, so don't take them lightly. Any questions? Yao Xianyi continued, his voice booming as he laid out the rules for all to hear. Can't use our own prescriptions? Xiao Yan couldn't help but express his surprise at this rule. This is to ensure the fairness of the assessment. The prescriptions provided by the Yao clan will be used. Even the same prescription, if refined by different alchemists, will result in slight differences. This makes it easy to judge everyone's alchemy skills, Ling Zishi explained. I see. Xiao Yan nodded slightly. The fact that the Yao clan would provide the prescriptions was a huge relief for him. Otherwise, for such a grand event, he would have nearly no prescriptions of the same level in his possession. Understood. Thousands of alchemists responded enthusiastically, their eyes blazing with fervor. Strong soul power doesn't necessarily mean one is a master alchemist, but a true alchemist with outstanding skills will also have terrifying soul power. The two aren't contradictory, but they are intricately connected. At this moment, countless gazes were focused on Xiao Yan, and a competitive aura surged. They seemed eager to prove themselves against him. The second round may seem simple, but in reality, it hides deadly dangers, Xiao Yan said with a laugh as he flicked his hand. The Pill Valley was probably the real highlight of this grand ceremony. However, with the many tricks up his sleeve, Xiao Yan wasn't afraid. In fact, he was even looking forward to it, quietly waiting for the second round to begin. Let's call for the Pill Tower, Yao Xianyi said after a brief pause, looking towards the altar. Immediately, Yao clan guards in silver armor appeared in an orderly fashion, carrying exquisite scrolls with both hands. The scrolls released immense energy, gradually forming a towering pillar beneath everyone's feet. That was the Pill Tower, the place where prescriptions for the second round would be selected. Take your prescription from the Pill Tower before you. The prescriptions inside cover all levels of alchemists here. Choose whichever one you like, but don't be overly ambitious. You have 1 incense stick's worth of time to choose a prescription, said Yao Xianyi. Those who haven't made their selection by the end will randomly receive a scroll, but at that point, you'll have to pray on your own. Ready? Then let's begin. As soon as the words were spoken, 1,000 people around them surged forward like a dark and tumultuous river, rushing into the Pill Tower. They began the second round, searching for prescriptions. Although this Pill Tower is constructed using energy by the Yao clan, and the prescriptions inside are just replicas, it still showcases the Yao clan's immense power. Xiao Yan remarked as he took a step forward, transforming into a streak of light and entering the Pill Tower. Boom, boom, boom. A bell rang slowly within the Pill Tower, the tower doors creaking open. The sound of the bell echoed deeply, resonating powerfully and causing everyone's minds to stir. At that moment, a rich fragrance swept through the air. On the altar mountain, bathed in countless golden threads, stood the ancient Pill Tower. It was shaped like a towering structure, hundreds of meters high. Its body formed by the dazzling energy of scrolls held by dozens of powerful Yao clan members. The exterior glowed with a golden brilliance, while the interior concealed deeper mysteries. Inside the Pill Tower, 1,000 alchemists had already entered in an orderly manner. Outsiders could not see the mysteries within and could only sit quietly on the altar mountain, waiting. On the seats of the ancient 5 clans and other powerful figures, the old men could not help but reveal a dangerous curve at the corners of their mouths. It was clear that the name Xiao Yan had left an indelible mark in their minds. If this person had no powerful backing, he would definitely be crushed after this grand ceremony. But if he had a massive force behind him, then the story would be entirely different. Let's hope you don't have any ill intentions, Xun'er remarked as she noticed the unfriendly gazes of the elders around them. But she paid no mind to it, her eyes sparkling. After a moment, she closed her eyes and calmly sat down, waiting for Xiao Yan. For the ancient clans, even after the brutal battle with the extraterritorial evil clans, their power and energy had not been significantly depleted. They were still strong enough to rival all the sects present. Even against the mighty Yao clan, the ancient clan's power was a match. This was the true depth of the ancient clans. Inside the Pill Tower, as soon as Xiao Yan entered, he noticed over 100 figures rushing toward the upper levels of the tower. However, he did not act hastily. Standing quietly at the entrance, he gently closed his eyes. His radiant spiritual palace shook violently, and he became as light as a feather, standing still as if weightless. Xiao Yan's soul power was extraordinarily strong. As soon as he entered, he sensed that the Pill Tower had 5 floors. Besides the 4th, which contained some 7th-grade immortal-class prescriptions, the 5th floor emitted a terrifying force that drew him in. Xiao Yan vaguely sensed that the true key to the Pill Tower lay on the 5th floor, where an immensely powerful force seemed to be guarding it. Since Xiao Yan had already reached the essence transformation stage in soul power, he decided to give it a try. This guy, is he trying to sense the structure of the deeper parts of the Pill Tower? Several high-ranking Yao clan elders on the altar mountain muttered to each other as they watched Xiao Yan's actions. Although the Pill Tower in front of them was a temporary construct made of energy, it had 5 full floors, each filled with dozens of prescriptions. And each time they moved up to the next floor, the difficulty increased dramatically. This kid really isn't ordinary, Yao Wanyuan, who had always been quiet, finally confirmed something and said to Yao Xianyi beside him, "Only by entering the immortal realm could one condense a spiritual palace, and once the spiritual palace was formed, the number of layers determined the future limit of their soul power. Then came the stages of the Great Void, essence transformation, and God travel in the 3 levels of 9 stages. Without a doubt, based on Xiao Yan's recent breakthrough of the Soul Stone and his current sharp abilities, Yao Wanyuan was certain that Xiao Yan's soul power had already reached the essence transformation stage. Essence transformation? This at least meant that Xiao Yan's spiritual palace had lit up 4 layers, right? Moreover, the spiritual palace he had formed was at least 5 layers, or even higher. Yao Wenyuan's lips became dry as a surge of indescribable shock overwhelmed his heart. He had used countless resources from the Yao clan and spent nearly 1,000 years paving the way to the essence transformation stage. But how had Xiao Yan cultivated? At the mere age of 100, he had already achieved the essence transformation level of soul power. At the entrance of the Pill Tower, those who entered watched Xiao Yan's strange actions. Though they were puzzled, they didn't waste much time on him. This unusual situation lasted only a few minutes, but then, a surging and immense soul power exploded from Xiao Yan's body like a gigantic tsunami, sweeping toward the core of the Pill Tower, the 5th level. Boom! An indescribable soul pressure caused many alchemists already scattered across the 1st to 4th levels of the Pill Tower to kneel without hesitation, unable to muster even the slightest resistance in their hearts. Such terrifying soul pressure. Who exactly is this person? At this moment, countless alchemists, who had quietly knelt in worship, couldn't help but wonder in their hearts. If Xiao Yan's first round of the soul test had seemed like a mere fluke, now, countless rumors were being shattered without a fight. Roar! Just as these individuals felt fear, a soft glow emerged from the 5th level at the top of the Pill Tower. It spread like ancient ripples, forming a silver soul storm at the top of the tower. In the storm, a silver dragon appeared faintly, its enormous eyes gleaming with a bloodthirsty, eerie aura, glaring at Xiao Yan, releasing endless killing intent. As the silver dragon took shape, a pressuring force from the heavens descended once more, causing the bodies of the many strong individuals present to tighten instinctively. The space within the Pill Tower slowly began to distort, becoming unstable. It seemed as though this was the true ruler of the Pill Tower, and any strong individual who dared to covet the pill recipe within the 5th level would be mercilessly crushed. Wow, such ambition. They actually want to lay a hand on the pill recipe. At this moment, Yao Yichen, who was in the 4th level, coldly snorted. Standing up against the overwhelming soul pressure, his gaze continuously shifted between the silver dragon and Xiao Yan. Yao, what exactly is the pill recipe in the 5th level? Hearing Yao Yichen's voice, Shi Wushuang and others from the Shi clan couldn't help but ask. The pill recipes stored in the 4th level of the Pill Tower were already at the Immortal Class 7th grade, Earth Class peak. As for the 5th level, it was likely... In the 5th level, there's only a single pill recipe at the Semi-Holy Class level. For hundreds of ceremonies, no one has been able to obtain it. Though he didn't want to admit it, Yao Yichen slowly shook his head and then gently spoke, his voice containing a faint hint of envy. Even with his peak soul power at the Great Void Realm, he didn't dare to approach a semi-holy class pill recipe. To refine a sacred class pill, a soul power at the half-step essence transformation realm or semi-essence transformation realm was the minimum requirement. Without reaching this level, anyone rashly attempting to refine it would only be courting death. This was a blood-stained lesson that countless strong individuals from the Yao clan had learned. This guy, isn't he afraid of killing himself? Shen Hong growled, his eyes bloodshot. He was extremely displeased that Xiao Yan had captured the entire ceremony's attention. Some people just can't help talking nonsense. If you're not afraid, feel free to go challenge the silver dragon guarding the 5th level. If you can defeat it, you'll have already won half of the assessment. If you don't have the ability, it's better to keep your mouth shut. Ling Zishi sarcastically retorted. With the protection of the Ling clan, she naturally wasn't afraid of the CS sect. Moreover, from the beginning, everyone had noticed that Ling Zishi seemed to be deliberately helping Xiao Yan. Even if he manages to obtain that only semi-holy class pill recipe, so what? Is it that easy to obtain a semi-holy class pill recipe? Even if he can collect all the materials in the Pill Valley, whether he can successfully refine it is still an unknown. Let's just wait and see. As soon as these words were spoken, the soul pressure gradually disappeared, and Xiao Yan's body allowed the silver dragon to pull him into the 5th level of the Pill Tower.